Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Jacks, the Liberal government projects a decline in deficit-to-GDP ratio over the next 5 years as a fiscal anchor. In your report, you estimate that there's only a 7.5% chance that the government can actually do that. And I find 7.5% chance is extremely low. Can you explain why there's only a 7.5% chance that this government respects this fiscal anchor that they have set?
So we've used the same kind of methodology that the IMF has used in terms of stress testing this fiscal anchor specifically. And in that, we took into account, as Mr. Jake said before, the economic shocks that have happened in the past, over the past 30 years. Using those shocks and kind of their impacts on fiscal policy as a result, we determined that there is a 7.5% chance of the deficit to GDP declining every single year over that projection horizon. So we're using a similar methodology that the IMF has used in the past to come up with this conclusion.
So there is a 7.5% chance that the government respects their anchors. That in turn means that there's a 92.5% chance that it does not respect the fiscal anchor. Can you comment on that?
Using the stress testing that we've done, you would arrive at that conclusion, but it is a stress test of that fiscal anchor.
Thank you. So Fitch Credit Rating has already warned, of course, that there is pressure on Canada's credit rating because of the close to $80 billion deficit that was presented in the budget, the persistent fiscal expansion, and rising burden of debt. They go on to write that this may be exacerbated by persistent economic underperformance caused by tariff risks and structural changes, including low productivity. Given the challenges related to our fiscal outlook, is this a good time to be introducing more uncertainty and distrust with the vague capital investment definition?
I would say, going back to comments that we offered earlier, more transparency is better than less. It is a significant change in the definition of fiscal anchors that the government wants to use, and having more parliamentary debate and more understanding around what that change means, I think it's beneficial to everyone.
Mr. Jacks, in a recent interview, you actually commented on that, and that the Liberal government ran on the federal debt to GDP ratio as a fiscal anchor, and there was no debate in Parliament over changing it. Is this right? Like, what are your thoughts on this? How does a country just change its fiscal anchor, it's a big deal for Canada. That's how we guide ourselves and make decisions. And how does this Liberal government change it without proper debate or discussion in Parliament? Could you comment on that?
Sure. The short answer is the government has full discretion to identify which fiscal anchors it wants to use as part of its management of the economy and the government's finances. A recommendation that we've made is that there should be heightened transparency around that, especially in situations where you have a long-standing and widely respected fiscal anchor, like the declining debt-to-GDP ratio, used long-standing in Canada, widely used across other jurisdictions, and it's no longer being used as a fiscal anchor by the government. There ends up being risk of potential politicization around the numbers, where there end up being material changes to the fiscal anchors or any other aspects of the fiscal framework without policy discussion around that.
Thank you. The September 2025 fiscal outlook summary warns that the debt servicing ratio continues to rise over the medium term. At what point would credit rating concerns start pushing Canada's borrowing rates higher in a meaningful way?
That's a question that's better put to a credit rating agency. I'm sure